All right, we had somebody in here, I've lost track of the comment, but asking about Noah Potter, who, depending on whether he was redshirted, which sounds right, would be a redshirt junior from that 2019 class as a defensive end, whether he still has a future at Ohio State.
Ryan Day said he's working at defensive tackle right now. He's a redshirt sophomore, and is getting a look on inside a defensive tackle. So he's a big dude too. He's like 6'6", 270. I think is maybe what he was listed at, but he's going to have to put on a little bit of weight if he's going to be on the interior. So I don't. That's a thinner position in defensive end, so the road to playing time is quicker, but he's going to have to get low to have that leverage.
Yeah, I was just looking at my roster. It says here 6'6", 270, which, and the other thing is him being 6'6" doesn't help him necessarily with, with getting that leverage, as Tony says, but I think he's a good football player, and I think that, somehow, some way, he's going to try and work his way into the mix this year as a third-year player. And, there's no reason why he can't be a part of the success of this team, either at defensive end or defensive tackle. It's just kind of mastering one of the two spots, I think. Or, I say it's two spots, but, they have – I think all four of them are kind of specialized, in what they ask each of the four defensive linemen to do within the scheme. So, there's a nose and a however they describe it. But I'm interested to see. I think he's a guy. It's time for the light bulb to go on for him, and for him to get in there and make some plays on Saturdays. I think he was a good prospect for them to sign from here in the state of Ohio. And no reason why he can't be a guy that, maybe makes that late career rise like a Sam Hubbard in his last, 2-3 years as a college player really comes on and makes a big difference.
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses for anybody. Let's just remember that they had 3 spring practices last year and then really disjointed, segmented, small group practices or whatnot, and you really had to just kind of focus on getting your ones ready last year as much as you could. So, I really don't, I really am not in the selling mode in terms of anybody of saying that they're not going to be able to put it together when you look at last season as being kind of a wash for anybody that wasn't certainly in the 2 deep, and even by saying the 2 deep, I would say, of 44, I'd say if you weren't in the top 35, you generally probably were not seeing a ton of meaningful practice reps and whatnot. So that's what makes this year so much more important. So I think that, we might have a better idea about some of these guys here in a few months after they get through spring and summer, and we see what the incoming guys look like, the ones that have not enrolled as of yet, that are your regular summer enrollees, and as we get into August practice or whatnot. But there certainly is an opportunity. But even if you're in there at the 3 tech or 1 tech or wherever, they're going to have you penciled in as, there's still going to be guys ahead of you. So just because you move from one position to another, there are not a lot of clear paths to the field on this Ohio State roster.
Well, and keep in mind, they're going to be losing 4 defensive tackles after this year and possibly 3 defensive ends after this year if Zach Harrison has the junior year he's expecting and goes pro, assuming nobody cashes in their free year. So there's certainly still room and a place for Noah Potter as a 4th-year guy next year, and we'll see what happens this year. It's deeper than anticipated with the return of Haskell Garrett, though.